Okay, so this is the strategy to retire early. We call this the Bor Strategy, and this is well known by many real estate investors. What it means is that you're going to buy a property, and this could be a single family home, it could be a townhome, it could be a multi-unit, 2 to 4. So we're going to be focusing on residential. Okay? And what we're going to do is once you buy, we're looking for distressed properties. And this is the secret. You've got to focus on properties that are priced below 200,000. That's the sweet spot, okay? I know some investors believe that if they focus on the more expensive properties, they can make more money, but it's the opposite. That backfires. You want to minimize your risk and maximize your return. For you to accomplish that, your sweet spot to buy properties should be less than 200,000. And let me tell you a secret. It's better to pay a little bit more money for properties that don't need much work. Okay, so instead of, let's say, paying 90,000 for a property that needs maybe 60,000 in rehab, it's best to pay 150 for a property that needs very little work. Okay, because guess what? The money is not on the rehab, and that's the opposite. Okay, when you start taking on big rehab projects, that's where you're exposing yourself to a greater risk, okay, of losing money, because we're opening up a kind of worm. When you open up a house and you start breaking the walls, you're gonna be surprised, right? And it's oftentimes they're not nice surprises where you need to end up upgrading the electric system, plumbing system, HVAC, and so forth. So the list goes on and on and on. So again, focus on properties. It could be single family home, multi-unit, townhomes. The sweet spot is between 120,000 to 170,000, 175,000. Okay, that's the sweet spot. And you want to be in areas that are not distressed, okay? Because there's some areas that are like the Wild West, right? That your neighbor thinks that your car is theirs, right? So that's a little bit of a challenge. You don't want to be in those neighborhoods because you're going to have a hard time getting contractors. You're going to have a hard time collecting top rents or even finding collectible tenants, let alone to command top dollars for your properties if you're going to flip them. So try to focus on more stable neighborhoods where the infrastructure for schools, safety is there already, and most importantly, employment sources. That's what drives people into neighborhoods, employment sources. Okay, so once you have that in place, you have already narrowed down your search criteria because that's critical. Now, where should you look? You can look in your own neighborhood. Okay, the key is to establish a mile radius of about 10 to 15 miles. Anything beyond that, it's unmanageable logistics wise. You won't be able to make it. Some contractors won't travel that far. So you must have 2 points: where you live, where you work, and it's going to be a belt, right? So about 10 to 15 mile radius. That's the critical point for you to have your rental empire or portfolio in a manageable radius. Okay, once you have that in place, you're ready to find a great deal, which we're going to dive into it. And I'm going to show you what the numbers should look like, right? Because many people, they get into the analysis paralysis, right? They look at a property, boom, they freeze, right? They know that the purchase price, like let's assume they know 135, right, for the purchase price. But then they question, well, is this a good deal or is this not a good deal? So super simple, guys. From the purchase price, you have to know how much the property is going to be worth once you rehab it, fix it up, and make it into sellable condition. Okay, that's called the ARV, after repair value. And between the purchase time frame to the selling time frame, if it's a flip, for instance, or even if it's a rental, right? You have to rehab the property. So how much will you need to make that property look beautiful, or at least in livable conditions for a rental, or in amazing conditions for a flip. That's the rehab, right? So the key is to have a big spread between 80 to 100,000 typically, so that you have enough room to do a successful flip or to cash flow on a rental. So in this case, look at this. The purchase price was 135. The ARV is 225. As you can see, there's a spread of about $90,000 on this property. So the next big question is rehab, right? How much will the rehab be? In this particular case, it's an exceptional property. This falls into only 5% of all the properties you're going to find. Only 5% or less of the properties you will find will have a rehab estimate or scope of work of less than 20,000. Most of them, over 90% of the properties, will be way over this rehab scope. So you're going to be looking to spend anywhere between 35 to 50,000 on a single family home, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, right? That's just considering a medium rehab. Okay, so what we mean by that is you will always have to do kitchens and bathrooms updating. So you're redoing those from scratch. You can't reuse existing kitchen or bathrooms because they're not in good shape. You're going to need to do the flooring, painting, some light fixtures, plumbing, perhaps some windows, roof repair, and minor HVAC repairs. That's about it. That's going to take 40,000 easily, especially nowadays with the material expenses going up and labor as well. You're going to be hitting 40, 45,000 easily. So hitting a rehab of 12,000, it's almost impossible. We were extremely lucky on this property. So having said that, those are the two numbers that you need to know, right? How much you're going to spend and the ARV. ARV will help you determine how much you're going to be able to sell the property for or refinance the property if you are going to buy and hold the property. So I want to explain what that means. If you are going to buy the property, remember what I said, you've got to use other people's money, which means that you are going to borrow money to purchase the property. Why are you going to borrow money? Even if you have the cash to buy the property, it's not a good idea to put all your eggs in one basket. Why? Because you're going to be stuck in one deal for the next 3 to 4 months, okay? So what happens if there's another great deal coming down the pipe? You won't be able to buy it. Why? Because you've spent all your liquidity in one single deal. So the less money you spent on a deal, the better off you're going to be. You're going to maximize your opportunities to take on 2, 3, 4 deals down the line. Okay, so leveraging from other people's money. Obviously, you're going to need to pay interest on the money that you borrow. So you have two options when you're borrowing money. You are going to borrow money from big institutions. We call them hard money lenders, or from private individuals. They're called private money lenders. It's expensive money. So you're going to be paying 12% interest rate or so, 10, 12%, a couple of points origination, and it's a short-term loan. So the loan is going to take about anywhere between 6 to 12 months, and that's about it. So you have 6 to 12 months to stabilize the property. What do we mean by stabilize the property? Fixing the property, right? And then at that point, once you've done all the work, you bought the property using hard money lenders or private money lenders, then you're going to need to start the rehab. Okay. Now, the big difference is when you use hard money lenders or big institutional money, you have the option to borrow also 100% of the rehab money, which with private money lenders, the biggest difference is that they will also fund you the money for the rehab, but they can give it to you upfront at closing. Okay, that's the biggest difference. With private money lenders, you have zero out-of-pocket expense. They can front you the money for both the purchase and the rehab. Hard money lenders will want you to have skin in the game. So they'll have you put 10% down for the purchase price, And when you do the rehab, they'll have you start the rehab with your own money, and as you progress, they'll give you the money. They'll do inspection on your rehab, and based on the progress, they'll um, give you installments on the rehab amount. So once you've done that, right, you have the option to sell the property or put it for rent. To be able to retire early, you've got to pick the second exit strategy, which is buy and hold the property. Why? Because that's the true power of real estate, holding inventory properties so that they appreciate in value over time. They bring you positive cash flow on a monthly basis, and your net worth continues to go up on a yearly basis. Doing a flip, there's nothing wrong with it, right? You're just going to collect a big paycheck, especially nowadays, right? Right now, the flippers are making a killing because of the shortage of inventory, interest rates being so low. There's such a great pool of buyers out there willing to pay top prices for properties. So it's an amazing time for flippers today. But again, the focus is for you to retire early. So once you finish the rehab, now you've got to pay that money, right? Because you fixed the property, you got it rented. Now what? You only have 6 to 12 months to stabilize the property. So hopefully you'll be able to do it in less than 6 months. Typically the average time frame for a medium rehab should be 2-3 months. By the time you rent it out, you should be in and out in 4 months. So technically you should be able to do at least 3 rentals a year, leveraging from other people's money. So now, once you rented the property, right, what's the next step? To pay off the expensive money that you borrowed for the purchase and the rehab. So now at this point, you have to refinance, okay, the property. What it means is that you're going to turn that rehab loan that is short-term into a long-term 30-year loan. So the 30-year loan or 25-year loan is going to have a lower interest rate, 5.5 or so, and you're set, okay? Because now your mortgage payment is going to be lower, your interest rate is obviously going to be lower, and that's what the tenant is going to pay with the rent. And then you are going to end up with positive cash flow on a monthly basis, and on top of that, you're going to have equity. So in this case, when it comes time to refinance the property, banks, conventional banks, like the big ones, Chase, Bank of America, and so forth, those are called the conventional lenders. They're going to give you money on a property if it's in livable condition, meaning stable. So when you refinance the property, they're going to give you up to 75% of the after repair value. So if the property appraises for 225, they're going to give you about 160,000, okay, to pay off the existing hard money or private money loan. Okay, so in this case, we borrow about 150,000. So think about this: we can take up to 160,000 to pay off the expensive money, but we only need 150,000. So we're only going to tap into 66% of the ARV. The max that you can tap into is 75%. Okay, so lenders want you to have 75% loan to value, meaning they want you to have 25% of the ARV in equity, stuck in the property in equity. Okay, that's your net worth. They don't want you to over leverage, because that's what happened in 2008. People had 100% leverage on the properties, right? So their LTV was 100%. So they didn't have any equity. Therefore, that caused a big collapse of the real estate industry. So now they want you to have equity in the property. Now, what happens with the cash flow in this particular case? If we were to, let me pull this up. If we were to rent this property, right? How much are we renting this property for? So this property is being actually rented for $1,775. Okay, it's this particular property. It's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. no garage. It rents for $17.75. So the mortgage payment is about, with the principal, interest, tax, and insurance, which is escrow, is about, I would say, 1250, 1300. So we're cash flowing about 400 per month, right? Because the tenants pay for all the utilities, gas, electric, water, landscaping, snow removal. So everything, right? So what's happening in this case? So not only are we getting a property for free because the tenant is paying for everything, but on top of it, we're cash flowing on a monthly basis, $400. So how can you repeat this process all over again? Because when we bought this property, if we used a hard money lender, we put in about 10%. So 10% of about 135 is 13,500 plus closing expenses. We ended up putting probably 16, 17,000 out of pocket. So now you have 17,000 stuck in the property. How can you recycle that money so that you start buying more properties? The key is when it comes to refinancing the property, that you do a cash out refinance. What it means is that you max out your 75% loan to value. In this case, 75% of 225 is about 100 and let me do this. So 200 is 150. 75% of 25 is, so it's about 156,000, 158,000, okay? So technically, we only need to refinance about 150 or 147 all in, 147, 150,000. So we're gonna get 156 when we refinance. So which means that we're gonna pay off 147, 148 or so, and then we're gonna end up with at least 5,000 cash out, okay, when we refinance. So we're gonna be using that money to put it back into the next investment. So we only end up with $10,000 stuck in this property, which is amazing, right? Because think about this. If you cash flow 400 a month, that means almost 5,000 a year. That means that in 2 years, you're gonna get all your 10,000 back in 2 years. So imagine what the return on investment is. In 2 years, you get your 10,000 back, and not only that, but you end up with a property for free because the tenant is paying for everything, and on top of it, you still have the equity going up on a yearly basis. So I know I gave you a lot of numbers. It's a little bit complicated, but at the same time, it's super simple. The key is to acquire a property that has enough equity, enough meat in the bone. Okay, again, about $80,000 to $100,000. When you focus in the sweet spot, anywhere between 120 to 160,000. Okay, you always need to have about 80,000 on the back end, so that when you do your rehab, you still have that 25% in the back end. Now, this formula will not work if the property is a gut rehab. Okay, gut rehab means that you are redoing systems from scratch, like you are redoing the plumbing, the electric, the HVAC, windows, roof. When you start touching systems from scratch, right? Every system is going to be anywhere between $8,000 to $12,000 easily, right? New electric, new plumbing, 8,000 to 12,000 easily, every system. So your rehab, instead of being 30, 40, 50,000, is going to end up in the upper 80s, 90,000. So that's going to kill your deal. Okay, so for this to work, you've got to stay away from gut rehabs. Okay, that's simple. Even people with construction background stay away from gut rehabs because they realize that the money is not in the rehabbing. In fact, it's the opposite. That's where the risk is. Because guess what? You're going to need to pull permits for plumbing, electric. You're going to have rough inspections for plumbing, electric. You're going to have finish inspections for plumbing and electric. You're going to have building inspections. You're going to have all kinds of inspections. You're going to need to pull all kinds of permits, roof, windows, HVAC, and the list goes on and on and on. So it just takes time, right, to not only pull the permits, do the rehab, hire the right licensed plumber, electrician, but to complete this successfully, right? So you not only need a great crew to help you with this, but you also need the resources to fund this Go Rehab. So the more you do, the higher the risk and the more you minimize your return. So please stay away from Go Rehabs. That's just a great tip that I give you, because that can break your deal and that can wipe you out. One deal, that's all it takes. One deal that you make a mistake to wipe you out. Okay, it is that simple. Think about it like surfing, right? It only takes one big wave to wipe a great surfer, and it's the same in real estate. So what's a wipeout wave? A big Go Rehab project. Okay, so we've done a couple of them and we learned our lesson. Stay away from them. Okay, it is that simple. There's no way around that. Are there any questions so far? How often do you see assessment values come back way lower than your original estimated ARV prior to refinance? So how often do you see assessment values come back way lower than your original estimated? So assessment value, so taxes, are you talking about the assessment done by the counties? They are done every other year, or every 3 years, right? Assessment for tax purposes on the properties are done every other year or every 3 years, depending on the county. But right now, it's a hot market. So ARVs are going higher and higher and higher. But guess what? Next year is going to change, because through the pandemic, the court system was closed. Now, all these pending pre-foreclosures will start to enter the court system, and they will eventually recycle back into the market sometime next year, okay, 2022, 2023, which is going to be great, because there's going to be an increase in inventory supply, which will cause a price correction in real estate. So you're going to see declining prices, but not by much. 10%, 15%, so it's not going to be insane like a 50% drop, by no means. There's still a great demand for inventory. So that is basically the formula, right? You've got to own rentals. And not only that, but you've got to make sure that you have enough meat in the bone when you find a great deal. Let me see, there's another question. What software do you use to find these deals? So we have our own proprietary software. It's called ChicagoDealVault, which, by the way, you can get free access, 30-day trial. So we can give you a 30-day trial on it. And this is where we find some of our deals. We also have two groups. We have a wholesaler group and a cash flow group. So the wholesaler group, there are about 50, 60 wholesalers. So we're connected with the top wholesalers, which means that any deal that is captured off market comes to our group first. Like yesterday, we had two deals that came to us. We presented those to the group, and we're going to wholesale two others that we got on the contract. One of them was off market, another one was MLS. So deals to meet these criteria need to come from off market. There are going to be some exceptions, right, from MLS. So we're scanning the MLS on a daily basis. In fact, when you become part of our deal makers groups, the new thing that we're doing is we're finding these great deals and we're scheduling showings. If those are MLS throughout the week, like tomorrow we have like 3-4 showings on MLS deals. If they're off market, we're scheduling buying bus tours. Okay, so we take you on a big bus to see these properties, and then at the end of the day, we run the numbers, and whatever makes sense, we make offers on. Okay, super simple. But yeah, the market is super hot. I mean, today one of our members was interested in a Dalton property that was for sale for 95. Our client was interested in offering 92,000, but when I spoke to the listing agent today, this afternoon, they had already signed a contract for 90,000 cash, like 2 hours earlier. And I have a really good relationship with the listing agent. So they said, Hugo, had you called us earlier, 2 hours, the deal would have been yours. So, I mean, you really need to act fast, okay? There's another property that came today in the market for a great price. So we're just trying just to schedule the showing. I called today. There are no showings available until after 7:30 tonight, 8 o'clock. So I know for a fact, I mean, it's underpriced. It's an MLS property. And guess what? We don't even need to see the property. We've seen the pictures on the MLS. It's not a good rehab. It looks, in fact, really nice. The kitchen is updated. The bathroom is updated. It needs less than 20,000. I would say more like 15,000. And it's way underpriced. Um, so that's going to go super fast. So what we're trying to do right now is we have somebody try to get a hold of the listing agent, right? We want to try to negotiate the deal verbally before we make an offer. But that property is going to go, I would say, between 20 to 30,000 above asking price. And guess what? It would still work. The numbers would still work. We ran the numbers today, and they will still work. So that property, you know, hopefully we'll be able to do something. So I have my phone right here. If I get a phone call from the listing agent, I'm gonna need to pick it up to hopefully lock the deal, okay? And yesterday, we also lost another deal. One of our members, right? It was another property. It happened to be in Dalton as well, from a wholesaler. It was offered for 55,000 to one of our members. So our member didn't take action right away. So it ended up being sold for 65,000. And guess what? Guess what? The wholesaler got it on the contract for only $35,000. So they made a whopping 30,000 assignment fee on that property. So in a nutshell, great deals are coming left and right, okay, on a daily basis, despite the shortage of inventory. You just have to know the right people. It's all about relationships. Luckily, that's been my role in the last 2 years, connecting with the right people, connecting with the right wholesalers. In fact, one of the best wholesalers which is huge, right? So again, if you want access to our software, we're going to give you access to our software. I'll be able to show it to you in just a second, and also to our program, right? That we can help you. I mean, we're going to put you on the field, right? We're going to level the playing field. Okay, the top performers, right? The pro investors. You know where they spend their money and their time? Making offers, looking at properties. That's we that's what we're trying to mimic. Okay, we're gonna show you properties, we're gonna source the deals, we're gonna show you the properties, we're gonna help you with the analysis so that you can just act on them very quickly. And not only that, but we're gonna help you line up your docs so that you have your entity and that you have funding lineup, right? So we'll connect you with our loan officers so that they can help you get an approval letter through Harmony lenders, or they also have access to private funding, which is huge, right? Because we want to make sure that when the deal comes your way, you're able to pull the trigger. So you have to add credibility, right? It's not only making an offer, right? You've got to add credibility. How do you add credibility? By including your approval letter, your proof of funds, which is what we help our members have in place before they start looking at properties. Um, Now, do you buy and hold properties outside of Chicago and suburbs? Yes. So we focus primarily on the suburbs. Working in the city of Chicago is challenging, right? Because of the tenant landlord ordinance, it favors tenants big time. So you've got to be very careful when you're working in the city of Chicago, right, Cook County. So we love the suburbs because they are great rental and flipping markets. We've been focusing on rentals, but it's been great working in the suburbs. It's less of a challenge. The villages are easier to work, and then you can get things done quicker as far as pulling permits and scheduling inspections. Whereas in the city of Chicago, there's more bureaucracy, so things take a lot longer. Okay, so as long as you understand that, everyone has, again, you've got to have a radius that you focus on based on your geographic location. Are there any other questions on the line? So somebody was asking about the software. Let me quickly show you what it looks like and what we look for, okay? So I'm gonna give you an example, how quickly it is. In fact, whoever asked about the software, if you can give me an area, we'll find just a couple of deals in seconds just to show you what we're looking for. So we're gonna be able to find some deals in your local neighborhood, okay? Glenwood. Okay, so Glenwood is a great neighborhood. Okay, home first. Now, another question. Did you mention lenders? Yeah, we have access to lenders. Absolutely. Hard money lenders, private money lenders. In fact, in this software, we have, if I click on private money lenders, look at this, we have 4,472 people, individuals with tons of money who've lent on properties to investors like yourself. So let me show you Glenwood. Many people may not be familiar with Glenwood, so let me show you what Glenwood is all about, because that is very critical for all investors to fully understand what market they're getting into. So if I type in Glen, we've analyzed over 300 neighborhoods. So Glenwood, right here. So Glenwood, Cook County, it's a C market right here, cash flow. That means it's a rental market. And in here, let me see. So the median rental income for a 3-bedroom is about 1,500. Okay, the sweet spot to buy a single family home is somewhere in the 120. So let me show you. When we go to off-market properties, right? So these are technically not for sale. Pre-foreclosures, right? Somebody who missed their mortgage payment, we can find deals in Glenwood. Okay, so I'm just gonna do Glenwood. And something that is very critical, you have to have two components to get a great deal from a seller. You have to have equity in the property and you have to have motivation from the seller. So they need to be ready to sell the property. So I'm going to filter all the properties that have over 50% equity, which means in Glenwood, that means that we are going to target properties that have a low mortgage versus their estimated ARV. So we found a couple with actually 0 to 50% equity. Okay, so we found few. So I'm just gonna pick the first one to show you what we're looking for. Okay, so let me see. The location on this one is like almost right on top of the highway. So that's not a great location. I'm gonna pick the second one, okay? So location is big. Okay, so this is slightly better. Okay, so let me give an example of this property in Glenwood, Cook County. So the outstanding balance is about 100,000, 107,000. But you know what? We are able to see additional liens on this property. Okay, so original loan 300,000. So okay, so that's the original loan lien. So they only owe 100,000 on this property. We don't have enough information as to number of bedrooms and baths. So let me see if I can find another one where we can find the number of bedrooms and baths. Okay, so this is a better example. So the location, this is in a quiet street. This property, the outstanding balance is about 163,000, but the estimated ARV on the property is going to be anywhere between 220 to 244. Okay, so you have an estimated equity of about uh, 80 80,000 or so on this property. Okay, so that's just to give an idea that there are so many properties in your backyard that do have equity and that they're on their, the owners are on their financial distress. Okay, we give you the owner information, and in fact, when you click on their name, we're going to give you their phone number, cell phone, email, so you can reach out to them and find out how motivated they are, right, to sell the property, because they are going to eventually lose their property if they don't come current with the loan. So you can help them by buying the property from them. So it's a win-win, right? They get to pay their mortgage and walk away with some cash, and you end up with a great property paying 50, 60 cents on the dollar. Okay, so that is why you want equity on the property and you want motivation. If the seller is not motivated to sell, you're going nowhere. They've got to be motivated to sell the property, and then you have a great deal. So that's the formula of a great deal in your neighborhood. You've got to have motivation, and the seller needs to have equity. So what they owe on the mortgage needs to be way lower than what the outstanding or original loan was at the time of purchase. Okay. So we help you through the process of identifying great deals, and we focus on off-market properties because that's where we find the biggest spreads on off-market properties. So this is Chicago DealVault, where we can look up area reports, access to private money lenders, deals, area reports. We can do analysis on properties, and you can get a 30-day trial on these, so it's free. So if you can do me a favor, if you want free access to this software, send us a text message to 818-818 with the keyword success, okay? And then followed by your name. Let's say first name, first, last, and email. So text 818-818, the keyword success, followed by your first, last name, and email. And then we're going to send you the link for you to sign up for free for the next 30 days. After 30 days is 140 per month. If you decide to continue using the software, we have one-on-one unlimited training, and then we have a training module right here, training tab. We cover about 7 or 8 categories right here. If you're interested in, area selection, finding deals, how to analyze deals, you name it, we have every single category for you to get up to speed fast. So we'll help you with training, or if you want to do face-to-face via webinar or Zoom, we do that unlimited because we want to make sure that you get up to speed fast, okay? Now, does DealVault work outside of Chicagoland? Unfortunately, no. We just focus in Illinois. So yeah, right now we're just very deep in Illinois. Are there any other questions on the main topic of today? Because I would like to quickly summarize key points that you need to focus on. So I don't want you guys to wait until you're 60, 70, whatever retirement age. You've got to be able to do what's truly meaningful in your life, because it's not all about the money. It's about having that freedom of time, doing what you truly love in life. That's the power of true independence, okay? Having that freedom of time, being able to spend quality time with your loved ones, never, ever, ever miss a single moment with your children, loved ones, relatives, friends. That's super, super critical, guys, because that's something that you will never be able to get back. Time is an intangible asset you'll never be able to get back. So I don't want you to spin your wheels, waste months, years out of your valuable lifetime trying to reinvent the wheel. we've already spent that time and effort. So I want to make sure that you save that time, effort, right? We want to help you take your real estate investment efforts to the next level. So if you send us your cell phone number, we're going to call you tonight. If you're interested in learning more about how we can help you send you deals off market MLS, not only send you deals, but we're going to show you, schedule showings on your behalf, right? So we're going to take you to see these properties. Okay, so we'll help you understand everything that we do for you if you want to take your real estate investment efforts to the next level. Again, we're local to Illinois. We don't do anything outside. So yeah, just send us your contact information and then we'll call you tonight so that we can help you on anything that you need. There's another question. So how do you retire in 3 years? So this is the key, Jeff. Thank you for taking me back to the original point. The key is we accumulated 34 rentals in the last 3 years. That allowed us to take like 3 months. We were in Europe. We came back about 3-4 weeks ago. So not only have that financial freedom, but freedom of time by accumulating rentals, using other people's money and other people's time. Okay, you're going to be able to recycle the money. So first things first, you've got to have access to deals. So you've got to have access to great deals. And we're going to help you do that. So you don't need to worry about finding whether it's off market or MLS deals. We will source those for you because we have dedicated resources to help you do that. We don't want you to break your head trying to do that, okay? So that's number one. Number two, we want to make sure that you line up funding, okay? If you're going to buy rentals, we want to make sure that you are pre-qualified, so we help you get pre-qualified. If you don't have any reserves, we're going to help you do a joint venture or partnership with somebody who does have what you don't have. So that's in a nutshell, right? Because we want you to be doing rentals, flips, wholesales, right? To help you capitalize, get big paychecks, and then most importantly, buy properties, buy rentals. Because when you buy rentals where the numbers work, guess what? You're getting a property for free. The tenant is paying for everything. On top of that, you're cash flowing on a monthly basis. So in 10, 15 years, guess what? Your net worth is going to be in the millions, right? Because property values go up. Banks will want you to have 25% equity on every single property. And your cash flow will continue to go up as rents continue to rise over time due to population growth, right? Supply and demand. People need a place to live. So it's just the safest place to invest in real estate, especially rentals. So to answer your question, Jeff, you've got to own rentals. We'll help you find the deals, take you to see those properties, help you line up funding. If you don't have the resources or reserves to get funding on your own, we're going to help you pair up with people who do have the money, right? So that you do a joint venture on flips or potentially rentals. So in a nutshell, it comes down to having a strong team and network of peers and mentors who can help you take your real estate investment efforts to the next level. I want you to get off your bicycle and start flying, right? You have no time to waste because it's doable. We did it in the last 3 years. So if we've done it the hard way, we laid the path for you guys to do it a lot quicker, right? But you have to put in obviously dedication. And then we're going to help you have the right mindset because this is all about having the right mindset to be successful. Okay, that's super critical. So please send us your contact information, your cell phone number, and then we're going to call you tonight to give you the details as to how we can help you get off your bicycle and start flying with us. Okay, so we started this program, this new program, right? Sourcing deals for our members. In the last 3-4 weeks, we already have a few properties on the contract, and we're about to get more on the contract. So it's been super, super exciting, right? Seeing all these deals happen so quickly. Are there any other questions? Anything that is holding you back? Anything that you need that we can help you? So we're going to help you not only finding great deals, we're going to give you access to this software. We're also going to give you access to our training dashboard, right? It's right here. So we have 3 modules. We have one for wholesalers. We have another one that is called CASHFLOW. This is primarily focused on buy and holds. And then we have the deal makers. So this is where pretty much we do everything for you. We find the deals on your behalf, take you to see properties. We schedule showings and we have our in-house brokers take you to see those properties, okay? And these are investor-friendly brokers that are gonna take you to see these potential great deals, okay? Are there any other questions? Anything that you would need? So please send us your contact information. It could be via private message to me or just to the entire group. Give us your name. Most likely we have you as well on the system, and we'll be happy to do a one-on-one call with you to understand where you are, where you want to be, and we identify the missing pieces, right? Because we want to help you fill in the gap. Everything that you've been spinning your wheels in the last 2 years, we've gone through that, right? So we have a potential solution for you guys. So let us know what you're missing, and we want to help you retire early, right? Have that freedom of time, and obviously the financial independence comes along that path. Anybody, any questions? David, Elsa, Irma, Jeff, George, Christy, Michael, Rob, Sam, any questions? Asma, anything that is in your head that I can help you right now? Please don't be shy. All questions are fair and valid. Go ahead, Elsa. Marlon, how to determine area type? Okay, so great question. We've analyzed those deals for our members. So we determine right here on their area reports, we give you the rating for the area. So we have A being the best, B being the middle, C being a little bit of a challenge, and D being like distressed neighborhoods. So we identified, we have A, B, C, and we look at employment, education, crime rates, whether they support flips or rentals or both, and overall amenities of the area. So that helps us identify whether it's A, B, C, or D, right? We have a livability score that helps us identify the area types. Okay, so we have every single area, including neighborhoods in the city of Chicago, right? So you can look up Logan Square, Lincoln Park, Lakeview, anything that you can think of area-wise, and we'll be able to tell you. And in fact, you should know your neighborhood like the back of your hand, and we help you do that through these reports. What areas are B? So I can pull area B, so area type. So I can pull all the area B types. So let me show you right here. So let me give you an example of B areas. Crestwood, Forest Park, Hickory Hills, Homewood, Alsip, Berkeley, Bridgeview, Brookfield, Burbank, Oakland, and the list goes on and on and on. These are just B. Palatine, Rolling Meadows, Chambord, Skokie, Wheeling. So we love to focus on B areas, which is the bread and butter, medium economic class. It's just the best to do rentals and flips, right? A types, those are the super expensive neighborhoods. Let me give an example of A neighborhoods. There, sometimes the numbers don't work because the property prices are too high, taxes are too high. Arlington Heights, Buffalo Grove, Glenview, Bartlett, Northbrook, Oak Park, Park Ridge, Tinley Park, Downers Grove, Northfield, and the list goes on and on and on. I mean, you just have to be careful on these neighborhoods because property prices are very high. So the rehab quality needs to be very high. Rents, if you rent the property, may not cover the mortgage because property prices are high in these neighborhoods. Flips are very risky in these neighborhoods. Everything is doable. You just need to do your due diligence, okay? So you can find any neighborhood type in here. There's another question. Are there any private lenders that can be partners with one's investment rather than just giving money to borrow? Absolutely. We have many members who want to have an equity partnership. So they'll give you the money for the purchase and the rehab, and you're going to do the rest, right? So you help rehab the property, you help find the property, you help sell the property, and then you go equity split, 50-50, 60-40. It's all negotiable, but yeah, absolutely. So they will not only give you the money, but they will also have a equity partnership on the deal. So absolutely. Okay, so no interest involved, right? Yeah, no, when you have equity partnership, there's no interest, right? Uh, they're not going to charge you interest on their money because they're going to get a percentage of the profit split, right? It could be a 50, it could be a 30, it could be 40, depending on the risk, right? What is it that you bring to the table? What is it that they bring to the table? Who's taking the most risk? So once you factor all those components into the equation, then you're going to determine, okay, so it's fair if I keep 60 and you 40 or vice versa or 50-50. Absolutely. So there's no cost of money when you have equity partnership. That's the main difference versus a private money lender, right? They're just going to give you the money and that's it. They expect a return on their money. So you're going to pay interest points and it's a short-term loan, which is different, right? So absolutely we help you do equity partnerships. And in fact, that's what we're facilitating for our members of the deal makers group, right? So we want to make sure that they have joint ventures, partnerships. It could be equity partnership on a flip. It could be equity partnership on a rental, whatever the case may be, whatever the exit strategy they want to take, okay? Obviously, we suggest this on flips because it's in and out, it's easy, right? To do equity partnership on flips. So yeah, absolutely. So we can call you, Asma. Send us your best phone number to call you, and then we can help you facilitate that type of partnership. Anybody else? Any other questions?
Igor, can you please tell us what every group is doing, the wholesaler, the cash flow, and the deal maker, how they interact with each other?
Absolutely, great question. Thank you, Sam. Okay, so the wholesalers in this group, let me just show you the org chart. So in here, the objective is to make you more successful. We have multiple modules, but let me just show you the org chart. So we have about 50, 60 people, maybe a little bit more with the team leads. So this is what the group is comprised of. So they're just exclusively focusing on finding off-market deals. So we're going to help them with the scripts, with the leads, with the contracts. All they become is an acquisition specialist of off-market properties. Once they get properties on the contract, guess what? They're going to come to us, to the group. So these off-market properties are going to come to the people. Now I'm going to go to the cash flow. So these are the people interested in doing rentals or flips, doing flips. So we have, this is the org chart. Again, we have about 80, 90 people that are interested exclusively in doing rentals and flips. Okay, so those properties now are going to be consumed by the cash flow inner circle group. Okay, this is the org chart. We have team leads, so everyone can interact with each other. Like yesterday, right? So we ended up with 2 properties. So this one in Maryland, and then we have another one, right? So we get a first-hand look at these off-the-oven properties. They just got them on the contract. Boom, they come to us. We are also, for instance, this one. That's another one. Berkman. This used to be an MLS property. We're gonna wholesale this property. And there's another one that got sent out today. This is in this is in Chicago. So Burbank and Chicago. This is in the Austin neighborhood. Okay, so these are off-market properties. We are wholesaling. So our members have a first-hand look at all these deals before we send it out to the masses. Okay, so that's how they interact. The wholesale is in charge of getting properties off market on the contract. The cash flow will potentially buy them. If they don't buy them, we send them out to the masses. And the deal makers, think about this as the VIP or the elite group. So this group we're going to be showing properties, whether they are MLS or off market. We're going to actually take them out to see properties. We're going to help them line up funding, and we're going to help them or facilitate partnerships among themselves. Okay, so we're taking sort of like a VIP level for these people, right? We're going to handhold them for them to get properties on the contract. So last week we got 3 properties on the contract after we did a buy-in bus tour, right? So I think we showed about 9 properties, and we continue, right, to look for them. It's not a one-time bus tour. No, we're going to continue. So tomorrow we have like 4 showings for great MLS deals. Right now I'm hoping to negotiate 1 deal in Dalton. So things are moving super fast, right? We're negotiating for these members, deal makers. So it's sort of like a VIP. The deal makers are also part of the cash flow and the wholesale group. Does that answer your question, Sam?
Yes, thank you.
No problem. Another question, where do you send properties to the masses? Okay, so we have a database of about 12,000 investors. So we do a blast email, and tomorrow we're going to do an SMS. Like for the properties that you saw right now, we're going to do an SMS. If you are not in the list, please send us your contact information via the chat, and we'll be happy to add you to the list so that you know about these off-market deals. Okay, are there any other questions? So if you need a call back, please let us know, and then we'll call you right back after the meeting. Okay, so in the next 10 minutes, we're going to call you to understand where you are, where you want to be, what the missing pieces are, and we'll tell you how we can fill in the gap. Okay, are there any other questions that I can help you answer? Hey, George, since you're on the line, hey, George.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So I was going to call you before the meeting, but I ran out of time. So let me quickly tell you, after the meeting from yesterday, Jerry talked to his GC. So his GC redid the rehab quote for Joe and Rich, and it was almost half of it. So from like 50,000 went down to like somewhere in the 20,000. So
Wow.
I told Jerry, so that was super powerful. So I told Jerry that you need a quote. So I want Jerry's GC to come out to Morse to give you a quote, to look at your project. So yeah, it was, I just couldn't believe it. So he, cut the rehab estimate in half, right? After our meeting.
That's perfect. So I did talk to the other gentleman, Victor, and he did call me back, and he said definitely we'll need plans. And so, I mean, I'll look in the preferred partners to see what architects you have there and call somebody to get an idea of what the plans will cost. But we'll see how this all ends up, because the cost, of course, will go up a little bit by adding the architectural plans and some of the other electrical service that we'll need there too.
Right. I can text you the contact for architectural plans. I can text you that number. I'll do that. We pay $1,500 for the entire house.
That's super reasonable. Yes.
So I'll send that over to you, and then please reach out to Jerry so that he can bring his GC like ASAP.
Okay, I'll text him right away.
Yeah, because now he knows what we're expecting.
Perfect. Thank you.
No problem. So, friends, George is part of the deal makers group. So he got a property on the contract. We're trying to get quotes for him and just help him along the way. By the way, your lot is already listed on the MLS. The team just needed some dimensions, but it's in the MLS already, George. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining. We'll be reaching out to some of you who have expressed interest in learning more about how we can help you. So we'll reach out to you. Elsa, anybody else? Thank you for joining. And then we're going to send you, Veronica, we're going to send to everyone the replay first thing in the morning tomorrow. Okay, so you'll get a replay for these. So thank you everyone for joining, and we'll be reaching out to you tonight for those of you who express interest. So thank you everyone for joining, and I look forward to speaking with you and seeing you soon. Thank you and have a good evening.